I don't want children. And for the majority of my adult life, the past 6 or 7 years, I'm 30 now, I've been pretty confident that I don't want children. But what I haven't been confident about is answering why I don't want children.
Why is it a bad idea to have kids?
Oh shit, here we go again.
Hey Siri, should I have kids?
I'm not your conscience or your uterus, maybe you should decide.
This
According to a post on Scary Mommy, your financial situation should not be a determining factor in whether or not you have kids.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
When you are parentified too early, that eats away at your desire to have your own children because you had to be mom and dad to your little brothers and little sisters. And so a lot of times the oldest kid, don't have children because they were parentified too.
They already raised kids.
They already raised kids. So, but there's a trauma there. There's a trauma there.
Most of the content creators that have made this video have given you reasons on why you should not have a kid. And as a married man with 2 kids and currently under contract negotiations with my wife for a 3rd, I'm gonna tell you why you should have kids. See, most Americans don't think long term, which is why most of y'all are broke.
I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke!
That's not a diss, that's reality. And it's okay for you to have these thoughts in your 20s, but I don't care what society tells you. When you hit your 30s, it's almost too late.
27, time to sell. 30, 50% off. Over 35 on clearance.
This doesn't just apply to women.
40, outlet. 50, Goodwill, Salvation Army.
And you think you're the exception to the rule.
I just happen to be the exception to the rule, and my girl happens to be the exception to the rule.
But you're not.
Everybody thinks they're the exception to all these rules. Everybody thinks they're the exception to every kind of problem, right?
And you're not. I'm 35.
Damn!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Some say I don't look like it, but I tell you one thing, I feel it.
No Diddy,
I'm getting old, and the men my age, they're growing gray hairs, they're balding. Trust me, that smoking and drinking is catching up to them. Everyone is partying, and your legacy, well, you haven't even thought about it. So here's my controversial take. Not having kids is probably one of the most selfish things this generation has decided not to do. Your ancestors didn't survive slavery and everything else for you to just cancel the family tree. They fought so their bloodline could thrive, and having kids isn't just about lineage, it's about legacy. It's about building something bigger than yourself. Your name, your values, your grind, they all live on through your kids. And look how far we've come. Life is supposed to get easier for the generation after us. My grandparents dealt with segregation and fought for civil rights so that my parents could work their asses off so that my life could be easier. And you think they did all that so that you could be the only person who gets to travel the world, drink yourself to death, constantly go on vacations, get old, and die alone.
Then you're gonna die alone. How about that?
It's fucking selfish. I work my ass off so my kid's life can be easier. So don't let the sacrifices of those who came before you stop with you. You owe it to them and to yourself to keep your story going. But fuck your legacy. If you don't care about it, why should I? I keep telling men, there are pros and cons to everything. People are always on the internet talking about the cons of having kids, but you don't know what you're missing. And that's the love you didn't see coming. And you've never felt love the way your child will love you, because you've been their hero from day one. My favorite part about having kids is life starts over and you realize how precious all of the things you took for granted are. Because if you've lost someone you truly love or cared about, you realize that life is short, and one day you're watching them learn how to crawl, and months later they're walking. Then you're watching them learn how to talk, and months later they won't shut up. But these are all good memories. Taking them to the park, the birthdays, them graduating from kindergarten, then 5th grade, their first crush, their first heartbreak. Memories that money can't buy, because you get to see the world through their eyes. You see the world in the simplest form, and that to me is magical. But you don't care about that either. So let's talk about discipline, because you lack it, and kids help you with that. You've got a little human watching your every move. Kids don't just teach discipline, they demand it. So imagine you sitting around all weekend not doing anything, and your kid walks up to you and you ask them,
Does daddy smell? Yeah. Is daddy ugly? Yeah. Has daddy got gappy teeth?
yeah. You might think, oh, all she knows how to say is yes, and you would be wrong.
Can mommy cook?
No. That cute little baby got the same gap in between her teeth. Too cute. But as a man, a kid gives you a new purpose. Kids give you responsibilities, which a lot of this generation tends to run away from. Trust me, you can't tell your kids to work harder in school when you're not working hard at life. You've made
no progress. None.
You can't tell them not to quit when you quit at fucking everything you do. Quick story time. I was playing ball the other day, and I realized that I've been teaching my son not to be passive when he plays. Meanwhile, I'm scared to shoot because my form is funny looking, even though I shoot better than damn near everybody in the gym. But my whole life, I've always been afraid to shoot. But that shit stopped today. Talking about pass me the ball.
And fuck that, get it off the rebound if I miss, bro.
Having kids is also your second chance at life. I just told you, I had some insecurities about shooting, but my kids have the dog in them. And I put it there because who gives a shit what people think? Shooters shoot, and no one cares how it looks when it goes in. Take a second and think about how we got into the whole gentle parenting thing. I think it's because, if I'm being honest, most of our parents used to beat our ass, but times have changed and we no longer move like that anymore. My father, love him to death, wasn't always able to be at every event I was in, and it's because he was working his ass off. So I make it a point to never put making extra money over being there for my kids, and even comparing me to my father doesn't quite seem fair because I make a lot of money. But none of this would have been possible without all the hard work, all of the sacrifices my parents made. They walk so I can run. I run so my kids can fly. But what about the people who grew up without a father? Well, we're seeing statistics saying that black dads are now the most involved over any other race.
One of the goals is challenging the absent black father myth. A 2013 study by the CDC shows 70% of black fathers who live with their children were most likely to be involved in activities like bathing, dressing, and driving their children to activities compared with their white or Hispanic counterparts.
The sad thing is that dads have capes on their back, but they're never shown as heroes.
Yeah. We're breaking generational curses, and I love that for us. And I'm just gonna ramble off a few more benefits because I don't want this video to be too long, but there are health benefits to having kids. Trust me, when you're living for more than just yourself, some people, most men, tend to take better care of themselves because they have a reason to stick around. Another point, kids are pure comedy. Most of the time, they don't try to be funny, they just are funny. And when you treat them right, my next point is you'll have someone to look out for you as you get up in age. I know we all joke about this, but do you really want to die alone? No. You want to be surrounded hopefully by a spouse, some kids, and if the good Lord sees fit, some grandkids. Life was never meant to be lived alone, and it's unfortunate that due to social media and other influences, most of us don't think we need kids, and the rest of us are waiting too late. We went from one extreme to the other. We can all argue that having kids at age 15, 16, 17, hell, under 21 is a little too early. But how did we get from there to men and women being in their 30s, still saying they're not ready to settle down? Let's do some math. Say you're my age, of 35, but you're still single, and you plan to do life the right way. You know, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. If you meet a woman today and you're taking your time to get to know that woman, it may be 2 years before you move in together, another year before you get engaged, another year before you get married, then you decide to have kids. Only problem is you're 40 now, which is fine because You're not a woman, but you're also fucking 40. So by the time your kid graduates high school, you'll be damn near 60. And the chances of you really getting to have a relationship with your grandkids are slim to none. Of course, if you even get to meet your grandkids in the first place. Because if your kids has kids at 40, just like you did, that puts you at 80. The average life expectancy for a man is 75. So that's just something to think about. And if you're thinking about having kids, hopefully you're thinking about getting married first. And here's a video on how to improve the marriage rate. I'm out.